สวัสดีครับวันนี้นะครับผมได้รับเกียรติจากมิสเตอร์จอห์นแฟรงค์นะครับ CEO ของ CHORD Electronics จากประเทศอังกฤษนะครับได้บินด่วนตรงมาจากประเทศสิงคโปร์นะครับไปงานแคนแจมก็เลยแวะเข้ามาเนี่ยนะเพื่อที่จะให้บทสัมภาษณ์ของ CHORD Mojo 2 ซึ่งเป็นตัวฮอตที่สุดในโลกขณะนี้
ตัวนี้
นะฮะโดยผมได้รับเกียรติจากคุณธรรมนูญนะฮะซึ่งเป็นกูรูเนี่ยนะทางด้านดิจิทัลอันดับหนึ่งของเมืองไทยเราจะมีบทสัมภาษณ์เนี่ยนะของมิสเตอร์จอห์นแฟรงค์โดยน้องจ๊ะจ๋าเนี่ยซึ่งเป็นคนรุ่นใหม่นะในวัยอยู่ประมาณ 26-27 นะฮะซึ่งจะเป็นตัวแทนของคอน sumer ในการซักถามหรือในการคุยกับมิสเตอร์จอห์นแฟรงค์เพื่อให้รู้ว่าโมโจ2เนี่ยนะเหมาะกับคนรุ่นใหม่เนี่ยยังไงบ้างวันนี้เนี่ยนะคุณธรรมนูญเนี่ยนะให้เกียรติมาเนี่ยเพื่อโชว์แล้วก็ให้คำแนะนำเนี่ยนะสั้นๆเนี่ยนะเกี่ยวกับโมโจ2ซึ่งเป็นสินค้าที่น่าสนใจมากขอคุณธรรมนูญช่วยให้ไอเดียเนี่ยนะเกี่ยวกับโมโจ2สั้นๆเพื่อให้คนดูเนี่ยนะประทับใจแล้วก็รู้สึกว่าเป็นสินค้าที่น่าติดตามเป็นอย่างยิ่งครับเชิญครับ
โมโจ2นี่ออกหลังโมโจ1 7 ปี7 ปีนี่มันแฝงด้วยเทคโนโลยีที่พัฒนาขึ้นมาอย่างไปเรียกว่าไกลเลยนะฮะและตอบสนองกับคนที่ซีเรียสกับการฟังเพลงที่มีคุณภาพอย่างแน่นอนซึ่งเดี๋ยวจะรู้ว่ามันทำอะไรได้บ้างโปรดติดตามนะครับ
สรุปเดี๋ยวเราลองดูเลยนะครับบทสัมภาษณ์เนี่ยนะมิสเตอร์จอห์นแฟรงค์โดยน้องจ๊ะจ๋าเนี่ยนะซึ่งทุกคนเนี่ยนะน่าจะประทับใจเนี่ยนะแล้วก็จะได้ข้อมูลเนี่ยนะโมโจ2เนี่ยนะซึ่งเป็นสินค้าที่น่าสนใจที่สุดในรอบปีนี้เนี่ยเชิญเลยครับ
Hello.
Hello.
So today we are going to interview you about the latest product from CHORD Electronics, Mojo 2. So, and I'm now with our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. John Frank.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, CHORD has been a company that has been going for about 30 years.
Yes.
And my original background was avionics, that's electronics for aircraft.
Yes.
And I think that Mojo 2 actually follows right in the philosophy of the electronics that you would find on an aeroplane. Yes. Because in an aeroplane you really have to push the limits of technology. And I think with Mojo 2 we've definitely done that. I've been working with a consultant, Rob Watts, who is a good friend and a brilliant designer.
Yes.
About 7 years ago developed the Mojo, original Mojo.
The iconic Mojo.
the iconic the original Mojo. And what we wanted to do, we on previous trips out, we would discuss new product, and we wanted to discuss what we would improve on the original Mojo, and I felt it was pretty good. But Rob is a perfectionist, and he said that he wanted to incorporate some very clever features. He uses a technology called an FPGA, which is a field programmable logic gate array. Now, these are very advanced things where a lot of electronics is packed onto one chip, and you can program the electronics to do many things. It's almost like having a, it's not quite like a computer, but in a way you can describe a function or a many functions within the chip, and then you make the chip perform those functions. It's very advanced technology. Yeah. And I think with my original background, when I started Chord, I always wanted to push the technology as far in audio as I'd seen what could be done on aircraft. That was my basic premise, and we started the company, and we've been continually improving our products and always pushing the boundaries of technology throughout that time.
Very interesting. So, in nowadays, in chaotic situation around the world, the audio business is quite difficult. What is the plan and main target of Chord Electronics?
Fortunately, we've not seen a downturn in our business. It's altered slightly, but in fact we've found that people, whether they are at home, they still like their hi-fi, and in a way they have more time to buy. It was difficult initially with some of our retailers in the UK, for instance, being shut down, but as soon as they opened up, the markets just took off. COVID has not, in a way, it's been a way of rethinking everything, and it's given us time to perhaps more time to rethink the products that we're developing. With not so many shows to attend around the world, and it's given us more thinking time, and I think that Rob and I both enjoyed that thinking time. And it means that he's spent a lot of time working new features such as a DSP, which is a digital signal processor. In general terms, DSPs can be difficult. Essentially, what a DSP can do is that you can determine the level of each frequency. So you can have low frequencies boosted or cut, and high frequencies or mid frequencies, and you can alter the wave shape. But normally, when you do that, you normally get sound degradation. It's rather like a photo image that has been too messed around with. You know that you can take a picture of you and it looks natural, and then, but also you can get rid of all the blemishes, and but you can do the same with audio. Oh. And many DSPs do it, but they do it badly, because of the nature of the very advanced the electronics that Rob has developed. He's able to essentially, of each musical image, he can reproduce it and even alter it, but keep it natural. So it's really very, very good. But you see, most competitor DACs, they do not have the electronics. There's probably 10 or even 100,000 times the electronics packed into this product than there would be in a normal competitor unit. They normally use little tiny chips because they're not really DAC designers. The people that make those products are really just, they're DAC chip users. But Rob, my good friend, is a digital to analog converter designer, and he goes back to basic principles, and he constructs the electronics to do that. So it's really quite advanced.
Yeah, so he's the genius, right?
Yeah, he is a genius. Yeah. Sometimes it's very hard to understand.
Yeah, I know.
But he is a genius. Very focused. I'm more broad spectrum, but we work well together. We often argue, but because sometimes he doesn't see things in the same way, because he's an engineer and he knows certain things, and he expects normal customers to be like that, and to actually take that you know, that they would get it, his idea. But sometimes you have to explain, well, you've got to make it simpler to use, you know.
So what is the key success that your Chord Electronics become more popular?
What the most successful product or the most successful philosophy? Which?
In terms of the amplifier, DAC, headphone amp, and so on.
Okay. Well, with our DACs, we have a ranges of products. Yes. We have amplifiers, and recently I upgraded all of our amplifier technology, and it's been incredibly successful. We've done a lot of big amplifiers, but it was in 2013 that we first went into the mobile audio product. So we went from big amplifiers, very specialist, very expensive, to products like this, where you know, anyone could virtually afford it. What had happened originally, when the way that the reason that we decided to go into this market was that I had attended a show in Japan, because I didn't really know about the headphone market and how successful and how enthusiastic. But when I went to Tokyo and I saw these guys at this Headphone show,
yes.
They were really enthusiastic, and it reminded me of many years ago when hi-fi became really popular in the early 1980s. Yeah. And I'd seen the guys at this show, and they were so enthusiastic, and they were doing crazy things like they got old tobacco tins, and they were putting their own electronics in and listening, and there were groups of people around each of the tables, and really it was quite exciting. You know, absolutely crazy what they were doing, because sometimes they would even put like they would put their electronics, and then they would put little miniature trees and houses
inside.
Inside.
Yeah.
So really a crazy thing to do, but I couldn't get away from the fact that they were just so enthusiastic, that I thought, well, I think with the technologies that we have, because we've been making big expensive DACs, I thought, well, if we could first make a DAC for this market. But when I first spoke to Rob, he said, no, impossible, because the DAC chips that everyone else uses are relatively low power, and they could be made to work. But Rob was using more advanced electronics that takes more power, and we had to work out a way that we could do that for the first product, and that was our product we called Hugo. And after a while, I mean, Hugo was a great success, and then we did a tour of Indonesia, Rob and I, and we went around and we saw the guys, and we went to villages and towns throughout Java. We suddenly realized that many of the guys that were really pleased to see us, they would say, well, if I save up now, maybe in 5 years I might be able to buy your Hugo 2, but it'll be very hard for me, but I really want to get it. So we determined, Rob and I, we said, well, we've got to make a product which is just as good, but make it smaller. So that's what we did, and we decided to make the original Mojo. And once again, Rob said, it's impossible. I can't get the chip and into the low power, that we could use a smaller battery and this sort of thing. So, but Rob gave me a call. We went home from that a little disappointed that we sort of came to a stopping point with the original Mojo, and we didn't think we could do it. And he phoned me a few days later, and he said, "You won't believe it, but the chip company which he's been using, called Xilinx, that makes these FPGA chips, they just launched a brand new chip that was lower power but still had enough electronics on the chip to enable us to construct a very good DAC." So I said, "Well, you better get working then, Rob." And about I think 18 months we had a product ready to go, and we launched it, and really we've never looked back. I mean, so we have ranges of products. We have the mobile products for the mobile market, which is very exciting and lots of fun. And we have ranges of products like this range, which is a product called Annie, and there's a range of products that go into this. And then we have another range called the TT range, and then we have another range which is a little more expensive, and then we have our full-size products, and then our reference. So big ranges.
So for the portable DAC, headphone amplifier products that are very competitive market right now.
Yes.
Do you think that the new Chord Mojo 2 is the best to buy, and what is the benefit and the brand leader positioning for the Mojo 2?
Okay. There will always be products out there that are cheaper than ours, but there won't be any products that are better. I sound a little big-headed, but actually it's really true. They just can't compete. And Rob, you know, is not the easiest guy to work with, but he is a genius, and what he's done is outstanding. It really is simply the best product in the world at its level,
which is Mojo 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So please, talking about the Mojo 2, so could you please introduce the Mojo 2 to us? The simply without equal. Can you please explain more about this?
Well, Mojo 2 is simply put, is a product that can take digital inputs and it converts the digital ones and zeros into music that you can actually hear, which is we are analog devices. You have analog ears, I have analog, all humans have, we are analog beings. The music around the world now is stored mostly digitally, and so with digital information, essentially a DAC takes a digital number and allocates a voltage, and then another voltage, and then another voltage, and eventually you get all of these steps making an analog waveform or a music that we could hear. If you can have many, 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 many more steps, you don't see literally you don't see a stepped waveform at all, whereas other DACs are really visible. With ours, you could examine the waveform through like an electronic microscope, and you would still not see the steps in the waveform. But also the accuracy of timing information within. I want to keep this fairly simple. If everything is right with a musical signal, then if you close your eyes, you can actually hear the whole environment of the sound. You can hear where someone stands with the microphone. You can see, if for instance, if there's an organ playing in a church, you can get a sense of how big that church is. If the signal is not fully and accurately reproduced, the signal collapses, becomes flat. People might think, well, it sounds wide, but actually, really, what you should be listening for is depth and expanse. When you get that, you know everything is right.
Like you are into
Exactly.
into it.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. It's like VR headset, really.
yeah.
I suppose in a way, yes. It is like that. It has to be. It's the only way to explain it, really.
Yeah. Yeah, we just talk about Mojo 2. So
Yeah.
please share me about the background, a bit more about the original Mojo.
The whole concept was to make a DAC which is absolute top quality, but to make it in small size and portable. And in a way, it's hard to. I mean, one thing I would say is that when you make a product that is that good but that small, people don't believe that it is that good. They will compare it with a DAC that has just been put in an old box this big, and they'll say, well, this is bigger, so this is better. But actually,
It's not true.
Absolutely not true. I mean, there are many DACs out there in the marketplace that are in big, rather expensive boxes, but you're paying for the box. You're not paying for the actual design or the electronics.
For the quality as well.
Yeah, that's it really. I mean, to develop a product like this, it does take a lot of time and a lot of money. One thing we won't be doing is, many competitors bring out a product almost every 18 months, but we don't do that because there's too much effort and too much resource gone in. But the technology level is so much higher that we really we don't need to upgrade our products every 18 months because no one really is still caught up with the Mojo 1, and that's 7 years old.
So what is the difference in terms of technology between original Mojo to Mojo 2?
The technology is essentially we're using a chip. I think the original gate count, the number of logic gates that Rob used, was about 30% in the original Mojo.
Yes.
In this product, he's used a total of 98% of the logic gates in the circuitry. Essentially, he's made a design with this DSP, but it's a DSP which is running at I think 104 bits. Just an amazing piece of technology. It should be in a museum, really. It's just clever. I think that's simple. It's just a really clever product, and really, without going into the details of the technology, which I'm really not qualified to do anyway. Some people like a different kind of sound, and also there are many variations of earphones, IEMs, or headphones, and they all have different characteristics. And what this allows is that if someone wants to get into the menu and start altering to make the sound that they really want to hear, the one that they're used to, or the kind of feeling they like to hear, then you can do that with Mojo. You can't do that with any other product.
In both Mojo, original Mojo and Mojo 2?
No, only in Mojo 2.
Mojo 2.
Original Mojo didn't have that function. So that's why the original Mojo only had 3 buttons: on and volume up, volume down. We have a menu button here, and the menu allows you to go into the menu. Obviously, best study it a little first, and then but it's quite intuitive. I mean, the idea of the color balls, that's not Rob's idea, that's my idea.
I love the colors.
Yeah, it's quite intuitive, but we'll take maybe a day or so just to get yourself familiar with it.
So what is the unique technologies of Mojo 2 that you think that can compete any other brands?
As I say, small standard chips. They buy the chips from AKM or Burr Brown or whatever. The problem with using those DAC chips is that there's analog circuitry and digital circuitry on the one chip. And any digital noise gets induced into the substrate of the chip, the actual slab of silicon. You can hear this noise, and it makes the sound unnatural. So what they do is they make two signals. When one goes up, one goes down, or one goes positive, one goes negative, rather like that. So they do that so that the average noise doesn't go into the substrate. But it means that they double up on the circuitry, and that is a problem. It's far better if you don't use the same chip for the analog and the digital part. We only use the chips on the digital side. On the analog side, that's done on the board itself, and there is no induced noise, so we don't need to do this balancing act.
Yes.
We can use a single design, so essentially we're not trying to fix a problem that we don't have. So it means that we have a much more pure sound than others.
I just listened to music from your Mojo 2.
It's stunning,
It was amazing.
Yes.
Like I can imagine that I am into the sound and to the music.
Yeah, that is it, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Very amazing. So why you confident to remain concept from the previous original Mojo to Mojo 2?
I think the concept was we built a good product 7 years ago.
Yes.
So what can we do to make it even better? And really it was giving it more flexibility and giving it... We had various capacitors, which are another electronic component in the circuit, and we knew that if we could get rid of those capacitors, we would actually make an even better sounding product. But to do that, you have to do something called a DC servo. And Rob had already done that for other products, so he was able to incorporate that technology into Mojo 2. So essentially everywhere, the original Mojo ran warmer than Mojo 2, and the charging circuit was not quite as efficient as it is in Mojo 2. So Mojo 2, the battery will last longer, and it also runs a little cooler. So it just lots of little housekeeping things were also done at the same time.
What do you think Mojo 2 was made for who? Or for everyone?
I think everyone. I mean, there are guys out there that want to do streaming, so we actually made this as a streamer product as well that just plugs in. Other people just want to plug their phone in with their music. Really, for someone who loves their music, and they start to, when they listen to their phone, they realize that maybe this isn't the best sound that they could possibly get. So really it's for... I think there are many guys out there and girls that are a bit perfectionist, and I think that the more they love their music, the more they love their Mojo.
Why you have spent your time like almost 7 years to develop original Mojo to Mojo 2? Do you have any reason behind? I
think it was actually probably we didn't start work on Mojo 2 for a while, so it's been about probably 3 years development. When we launch a new product or decide that a product has had long enough in the marketplace, it's good to start with the premise: how do we make the original product, but how do we make a better product? And then we just go from that, and then we put the effort in and the resources in to make that happen.
So can you please explain about the ultra flagship technology and how this DNA technology trickled down to Mojo 2 and Annie?
What we've always tried to do is make the very best electronics, not competing, but actually always better. Many, say, American companies or big Japanese companies, they have such power, but we are a relatively small company, so even just to compete, we must have products that are considerably better than the average. So that is what our philosophy has always been. And I decided that I wanted to upgrade our big amplifiers some 5 years or maybe a little longer ago. And I started reading some old research, and I came across several papers, and I decided that if this technology could be made to work within my designs, that there would be a considerable technology advantage, and having the ability to migrate the Ultima technology, which is our reference and full range products, down into products such as Annie. In fact, there is no amplifier technology within Mojo because that's done in a different way. Technology level compared to other products is very different. We actually don't make any of our products in Asia. Many companies that we're competing against, even if they design in the UK, they manufacture up in China, which is it's okay, but there is a different philosophy, and we try to do everything more in a craft way, more in a high-tech hothouse kind of way, to make a product which is technically better.
So some people might say the weakness of the original Mojo is the battery supply. So how have you been improved the battery supply at this point to become the Mojo 2?
I think with the battery issues with the original Mojo is that because we're not using small simple chips, we're using more complicated electronics and packing it in, there is a slightly higher power usage. What I determined to do was to try to redesign the board to get a battery which was about 10% larger. The improvements are there, but also making everything more efficient. One issue is with working with Rob is that if you say, well, we've got more power, he will automatically think, well, okay, I can add and use that power. So there's always a compromise and always an argument. But I think that the compromise that we've made on Mojo 2 is to simply make the best DAC. And I'm happy to put this DAC in measurement terms up against anything at all. And I know that it will give a very, very good account of itself. Despite its physical size, it is one of the best DACs in the world.
Okay, so what is Mojo application that you suggest using with Mojo 2 together with portable devices such as iDevices, smartphone, iPad, computers or others, especially with the Chord Mojo 2 with the poly? Would you say, is that a perfect pair of end game?
I think it is for audio product. Some people said, why did you not make a unit with a display? And sorry, the reason I decided that poly should not have a display is that everyone has a phone in their hand every day, always, around the world, and there have been billions of dollars spent on the interface for a phone. It really is the best display in the world, and the important function is to actually to be able to control Mojo or the music using a phone, because everyone is so familiar with it. If I put a display on this product, it would never be good as the display on a phone, because I don't have billions of dollars to spend on that interface. So there are devices out there, but their operating systems are always a little bit clunky, and it's about functionality. And I felt the important thing was to make the very best sounding product that could be put up against the best DACs in the world, and of whatever level, of whatever price, and really give a very good account of itself. And I think the important thing is to make it as usable as possible, whether you're using Poly or not. You can plug your laptop, you can plug your iPhone, you can plug your Android phone, anything at all into it, and it's very easy for you to put your own music through this product and get the best sound you've ever heard. And I think that's the most important thing. I think also you're probably going to ask me about my recommendations for particular IEMs or headphones.
Yes.
But I think really it's all I can say is that if ever we do a Headphone show, there are at least a dozen companies will come up to us before every show and say, please can we borrow some of your products, because we know that your Mojo 2 will give us the very best sound and make our own headphones the best. So I think whatever headphone you have or IEM, Mojo will give a perfect performance. And even if there are products out there that maybe don't have quite the bass that they should, or maybe they're a little too top heavy, you can adjust that. And that is why Rob Watts spent so much time developing the DSP, so that you can make those final tweaks that people like to do to balance the sound in the way that they really want to.
So together with Mojo 2 and Poly, so you say it is easy to work with together, right?
It is. I mean, streaming in itself can be as complicated as you wish to make it, because this product has got to be able to interface to any number of Wi-Fi services, any number of players, and so it's got to be almost universal, and that's very difficult to make into a mobile product. But I think we've achieved that, and it is a very, very flexible, very usable system, and you can play to your heart's content. You can store music here. We have a unlimited SD card, so that you can store, I think 2 terabytes is available now. So you can put a lot of music.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost more music than you can listen to in a lifetime. You know, it's a lot of music. The beauty of this is that you can actually have music on a NAS system in your home, and you can play it through Mojo by Poly, or you can stream from Poly onto a home system.
Oh,
so
I see.
It's quite a very usable. It's a big system in a very small package.
What about our mobile phone? It works as a remote control, right?
Yes, absolutely. Literally, you will see all of your music, even the music that is stored here. You will see it on your phone displayed, and you can configure it. You can play each track. You can alter the volume level. You can do whatever you wish.
Okay. So, can you share me how many Mojo units sold out since 2015, and what do you expect Mojo 2 and the number of units?
Well, I think we got to about 150,000 Mojo, original Mojo.
Yes.
And I think the orders that we have in place are looking pretty similar, but the situation currently is that there is a worldwide shortage of components.
Yes.
So this is limiting the total numbers, but we've been very clever, and we've searched the world for the component chipsets that we've got, and they're all coming in. And we should be able to ship very high numbers by the end of this year. We will be getting more chips in May and more in June, and then a large batch, a much larger batch, I'm talking tens of thousands of chips coming in the autumn time. So we'll be in massive volume production for Christmas time.
Wow, on Christmas time.
Yes.
As a gift for Christmas.
Perfect gift.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect time as well.
Yes.
So it's incredible that Mojo 2 and your Chord companies and other products that have been very successful so quickly after launching their new products, such as winning so many awards and numerous outstanding reviews.
Yes.
Can you tell us why?
I think it's the effort that we put in. It's almost like we're suddenly an overnight success, but actually we've been around a long time. We initially started working with making consumer products, but also we made a lot of professional amplifiers for people like the BBC, British Broadcasting, and Sony Music in New York, and we made amplifiers for many studios. The Star Wars studios, for instance. George Lucas, he was the producer of the original films. He spent many years, many weeks looking at different amplifiers, and he wasn't satisfied with the sound that he was getting. So he tried all the American big brands, and then we got a request to put a sample over to him, and his head of the engineering lab, a lovely recording engineer, and she phoned me and she said, "John, thank God your amplifiers came into us, because George listened to it and he said that's the one," and so we won the business.
Wow!
So we've been very lucky. We've had great highs in throughout our business career. There's a very famous studio in London, EMI Abbey Road Studio. Now that's where the Beatles recorded, even famous composers like David Arnold and various other people. You know, with the James Bond stuff.
The movie.
Yeah.
For the soundtrack.
Yes. More recently, we've had people like, there are various record producers. For instance, Ed Sheeran's album and Amy Winehouse, they were all recorded using Chord products.
So your company is behind of the successful of many
Yeah,
popular artists and movie as well.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I think it's because people that are in the business, they know sound, they know what is right.
Yeah.
And when they hear our products, they say, that's the one we want, because it actually gives them the truth. Because they can go, you know, if they're in a recording studio with all their mixing desks, they can go next door, hear what the artist actually sounds like, and they want to create the same thing onto their recording. So that's what we give them, lifelike sound. And I think that's one thing that we've really majored on, just because we put the extra effort in to make our products the best they can be.
What is your opinion about DNA performance? Is that true or not that Mojo 2, the Mojo 2, works like a mini Chord, Dave? Some people say that the new Mojo 2 is far beyond 10 times much better than the original Mojo.
Yeah. As I said, Rob Watts is a perfectionist. The technology within Dave, which is our top-line DAC, is very advanced. And really, Rob has worked long and hard to put that level of performance into our smaller products. And I think that he's coming very, very close.
So are you confident that Mojo 2 is the best DAC headphone at the price at 30,000 Thai baht?
I think it's actually the best at any price. There may be products that are a lot more expensive, but this will actually beat it. Very much so.
Talking more about the quality, right?
By the quality and the actual performance, it will be the best.
I believe you.
It is.
Yeah, because I listened to the Mojo 2 already.
Yeah, thank you. It is true.
Yeah, so why you have to buy the Mojo 2 and also give me the strong convincing to the people, especially in the new generation like me.
If you love your music, you will love it so much more when you hear it through Mojo 2.
So what would you like to suggest to the people who are interested to Mojo 2 to visit to your showroom and test and decided to buy it?
It is such an important thing to do. You know, just don't believe what I'm telling you. Try it for yourself, because that's the only way. Go along to the showrooms, listen, and you'll be convinced. I think that's really the very best way. That I'm sure that I know you're going to love it. I think, you know, people will love this product.
I'm sure. Yeah, I agree. So what is the next Chord product, like for portable devices in the nearest future? Also, Chord products introduced very soon in Munich.
We're probably not going to be introducing anything. Maybe there is a new product that is coming through, and maybe I can talk about it. I mean, there are many products in the process, but I can't discuss all of them.
Okay.
There will be other times when I'll come again and we can
talk. Sure.
But I would say that there is a new preamplifier coming for the full-size range. It's called
the big one, right?
Yeah, the big one. It's called the Pre 3. Once again, we've put a lot of effort into this product. It's very similar in style to the products that we're known for.
Yes.
And it's got a new style of operating and working, and very good performance. Again, it's because it's about the philosophy. If you aspire to be the best, I think that's why we're getting the awards and the 5-star reviews that we're getting is because people finally recognize the effort that we put in. And I think that's the important thing to do.
Cool. So, last but not least, what would you like to talk and give some idea to our Thai people who love music about the high-end audio?
I like live music.
Yes.
And I think that if people go out and they listen to live music, not just loud bands, but also just go and see artists that are just playing with a guitar and whatever, and they get the feel for that and the environment. And I think that when you listen with our products, you get the atmosphere. And I think everyone's missing live music, and I think as soon as COVID allows, you know, if everyone gets out, and also is to support their artists as well. Many artists have found it really hard, so I think listen to more live music, but also go out and listen to orchestras, orchestral music, because people often don't realize the power of a full orchestra, and the feeling, the emotion, the depth, and the breadth of the performance. And I think that the more people listen to live music, the more, once again, they'll love our products, because we are aiming to give the same out of these little boxes that you get from a full performance in front of you.
That was very amazing.
Okay,
so, thank you for the interview today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, real pleasure.